myself in northern Ghana, and I was just amazed that fufu was being done in the evening. And yes, fufu is usually eaten very late in the evening there. So around 6, now people are now pounding like the commercial fufu and things. And I was really shocked and amazed by it. And thank you very much to the Queenus who hosted me over the weekend at WA. And they did the Yam Fufu at home for me to see how it's really done and then to also video it as well. So thank you to the Queenus at WA. It was a very beautiful stay over the weekend there. So yes, this is Yam Fufu. Yes, as a South now, we eat a lot of fufu, which ours is more of plantain and cassava fufu. But in the North, you see more of predominant yam fufu. So honestly, the taste is not bad. It's nice. It's very much light, very much easy to eat with, and it's cool. And typically, it's made from yam. So the yam is peeled, the yam is cut, and then it is cooked. About the yam, the garbage in, garbage out. Let me put it like that. You want to usually use good yam. If you have some puna or some correct yam, you get fine results. But if you use cheap, inferior yam, you're going to get something else because it's garbage in, garbage out. And the beauty is that over there, yam is very much available. And so they use more of the yam for the fufu. So once the yam has been peeled and has been cut, you don't really need to cut it overly small. What matters is that it's sizable enough for it to get cooked. I realize those who do it by the roadside, like the commercial cooking, some even cut it very, very chunky and they put it in the cauldron. Yes, that are the same, and they cook it in. So once your yam is done, you have to obviously wash it. Wash it like twice to get the excess starch and the dirt and the skin from it as well. So once you're done washing it, you want to put it into your saucepan and then cook it with what? Water. So you just have to arrange it nicely into your saucepan. And if the water is too much, you need to pour it because this one, you don't need so much water. And the water, when you're done cooking, you're going to be using it. So you want to really moderate it as well. And you can add some pinch of salt in to just add in flavor. Another thing I realized was this kind of mortar. When I saw it for the first time, honestly, outside, I was like, is it that Bewodro we know here? But these ones were gigantic. I think that's the smallest I saw. Yes, but usually they have very big ones, except for the commercial ones. Unfortunately, it didn't click my mind to video it. So these are the ties that are used in. It's just like our normal fufu wodro, the short one. Just like this one has more height, which also helps those who are pounding as well. And they use the pestle, and usually, unlike the down or the one we use for the cassava fufu, it doesn't have the mushy head over there as well. So once the yam comes to a boil and is cooked thoroughly, you drain out the water. And like I said, the water is going to be used in the preparation. You want to keep the temperature pretty much warm, so you'd have to cover it and use it as well. And once the yam is cooked, you can eat some along as you are pounding, just like we do with our cassava. We eat some as we are pounding, so that one is normal. So you're going to pound this till it forms the fufu, and usually when you start pounding, it's a bit chaffy. And one thing I realized was you don't pound the yam when it's cold. No, you need to pound it when it's hot, because when it cools down, it becomes very flaky and very hard for you to get it combined into a good texture. Another beautiful thing I realized in the north or northern Ghana when I went to was that when you're pounding the yam, you can get like 2, you can get about 4 or 5 people even pounding it in there. It depends on the size of the mortar. So the very big commercial ones, Charlie, you can get like 5 or 6 girls or women pounding. Yes, and I think that's a good night of exercise. I think this would be nice for you to do with your rival. You can use some skills in there. Like, it's nice. When you see them pounding, you'd obviously want to stand and watch and see the dynamics are going. So the main idea is you want to really, I don't know if yam is gluten or gluten free, but you want to really build the elasticity of the yam. That's the main thing. And so if you don't want to use your hand in the turning, like, checking it, there's another style they go about it, where it's like asobichi. The fufu one, the cassava fufu, usually you'd have used your hand to do a lot of the turning. But this, you can also use the mortar, especially for the commercial ones where the numbers are more. and you can't really have so much time for it. This is one style they use. So you realize that as they are pounding the yam, the style in which they pound the yam, like when the pesto becomes a bit dry and sticking to the food, they put it in a bit of water to make it smooth, and then the pounding goes on for a while. So this pounding, honestly, is a whole exercise on its own. Yes, it's full gear exercise, and you're going to do this till the yam is actually well done. Yes, if you don't pound it very well, like I realized with the commercial ones, the commercial one I ate was not so soft like the home one I ate at the Queen's. So what I realized was at the commercial ones, they don't really how do I say, really pound it to it gets to that texture where you feel like, oh, there's like a southern fufu. Yeah, so that is one thing. But when you make it at home, you can always pound it properly for it to get to that texture that would give you like, oh, there's a nice fufu vibe, which you can enjoy both at the south as well. So then the next thing about yam fufu is that once you're pounding, like I said, you need the hot water or the yam water in there. So instead of using regular water to enter or to put into it, like we do with the cassava fufu, this one you use the yam water in there as well. So that also helps with the texture. You know, if you're pounding fufu and the fufu is very hard, you can put in water as you're pounding. It kind of helps soften it. And this is the same thing here. And because this is the way the texture of the yam is, usually when they are doing, you realize that the techniques changes. The techniques changes. Some may want to mash it a little bit or like use your hand just to check with the texture as well. You see, so just like when you put water into your fufu as you're pounding and then it can flake out, you'd have to consistently pound and then like reorganize the same, put it like this, put it back together for you to get that texture or consistency. And like I said, those who do this on a very large scale in the commercial ones, usually they do less of the how do I say, hand turning and manipulations. Usually they just pound and they get tired and then they just bounce. But it's all still nice and it still feels lighter than the, how do I say, it feels light when you're eating it, but you feel full early as well. And one thing I realized about the yam fufu is that you tend to get quite how do I say, like the as a or something like that. Like you're able to get more volume with the yam fufu as well. So that's one thing I also realized in there. So you realize that whenever they put the hot water in, the technique changes because I say, what fufu normal one, yeah, cassava then you'll be over three mostly. That's how my mom would say. But then the same thing we do with the yam, but use different manipulation techniques. So this are more techniques just to get it into like a good texture in there, and they are pretty much optional. Like I said, the very commercial ones you don't even see them do, but this actually kind of reflects in the texture of the final yam fufu that you're going to get. If you're seeing the very hard, bouncy kind of yam fufu, then it's because it is how do I say, it's not been well like pounded for a longer period of time. So yes, this is a bit of exercise and a bit of work. By the time you are done, you know that why you juma, like what boy juma, exercise and why you power. So that's what you're going to be pretty much doing as well. So this like fufu we do in the south, but this has its own intricate designs. Should I say designs? Intricateness in there, from even the mortar how it is, to the pestle how it is, to the ingredients. You know, this is just one um item, which is the yam. But in the south, you either do with the cassava, with the plantain, or you could do other options, gohu yam fufu and all those ones. Usually we add the plantain in. So that's another different variation. Another goes to how it is pounded. You realize the pounding techniques in yam is way different from the pounding technique when you are doing cassava and plantain fufu. And so those are very much different. And the hand manipulations of the fufu for you to get the very good texture is also different from how we do the plantain and the yam fufu. So once you get to that texture which you feel you are good with, you're going to have to scoop most of it out so you can have just what you're going to work with, and then you're going to kind of manipulate it to get the shape you need, and then you can dish it out into your bowl. So like I said, the yam fufu, by the time you are done Now when you're doing baby, that's the thing. So, and one thing I realized too is you may feel it doesn't feel too heavy when you're eating it, but by the time you're done, no one may. Like it keeps you full for a long period of time, and you easily get full when you're eating it as well. And I think most people in the north would eat this in the evening because, well, it's like I said, it feels light when you eat it, but you still get to feel full in there as well. So once you are done with pounding your fufu, dishing it out, you'd have to wash and clean your mortar. You wash before you use, you wash after you use as well. And it's very essential to clean your mortar and then to get it properly dried for it to last long. When you go to the north, it's beautiful. People have mortars they've used for like 20, 30 years over there, yes, because the wood is usually better and it lasts very, very long. So, like we clean, how do I call it? Your small mortar, you'd have to also clean this as well. And look at this the structure of it. It looks like the Abewodro, but the Abewodro is very much deep and narrowed in there. But then the northern wodro they use for fufu is just like our southern one, just that the base is more elongated in there as well. So that's pretty much what happens to your mortar after. And this is me having the home version. So the first picture you saw was the street version. Unfortunately, I didn't video the street version, so I can't give you a proper comparison. But I'm sure the next time I go to the north, I'll give you filler on all of them. Make sure you check out my short video on the 6 things or 6 how do you call it, street food you should try out when you go to northern Ghana.